The Canadian dream once promised that hard work and determination could secure a stable, prosperous life. It was a vision that inspired millions, immigrants and locals alike, to believe that in Canada, anyone could build a better future through perseverance and grit. This dream was more than just a slogan, it was a shared understanding that if you put in the effort, you'd be rewarded with security and opportunity. It meant homeownership, a good job, and a better future for your children, an idea that shaped our national identity. For decades, families worked hard, saved diligently, and believed that their sacrifices would pay off, not just for themselves, but for the next generation. The Canadian dream was about more than material success. It was about belonging, stability, and the hope that each generation would do better than the last. For generations, this dream united Canadians, offering hope and a sense of fairness. It brought together people from all walks of life, creating a sense of community and shared destiny. The belief in upward mobility and equal opportunity was a cornerstone of our society, fueling optimism and trust in our institutions. But today, that promise feels broken. The cost of living has soared, wages have stagnated, and the path to prosperity seems blocked for many. The dream that once felt within reach now feels distant, even unattainable, for countless Canadians. Economic obstacles have multiplied, and the sense that the system is rigged is now mainstream. Many feel that no matter how hard they work, the deck is stacked against them. The gap between the wealthy and everyone else is growing, and frustration is mounting. Young Canadians face anxiety and uncertainty, doubting whether effort will ever lead to reward. Student debt, unaffordable housing, and precarious work have replaced the optimism of previous generations. Many are forced to put their dreams on hold, unsure if they'll ever catch up. Homeownership, once a middle-class milestone, now seems out of reach for most. Skyrocketing prices and limited supply have turned what was once a rite of passage into a distant fantasy for many young families and newcomers. Secure careers have given way to gig work and instability. The promise of a steady job with benefits has faded, replaced by short-term contracts and side hustles that offer little security or peace of mind. The gap between effort and outcome is widening, fueling division and eroding trust. As people see their hard work go unrewarded, resentment grows, and faith in the fairness of the system declines. As faith in the system fades, people delay families' investments and long-term plans. The uncertainty of the future makes it harder to commit to the milestones that once defined adulthood and stability. The social contract that held us together is fraying. Communities feel more divided, and the sense of collective purpose that once defined Canada is under threat. This isn't just an economic crisis, it's a threat to our democracy and national cohesion. When people lose faith in the promise of a better life, trust in our institutions and each other begins to erode, putting the very fabric of our society at risk. Reviving the Canadian dream is essential for restoring hope and stability for future generations. It will take collective action, bold leadership, and a renewed commitment to fairness and opportunity for all. Only then can we rebuild the trust and optimism that once made Canada a beacon of hope. At the heart of Canada's growing crisis lies a widening chasm between what people earn and what it actually costs to live. For many families, each paycheck is stretched thinner and thinner, barely covering the basics, let alone allowing for any sense of security or comfort. The dream of building a stable life, once a cornerstone of Canadian identity, now feels increasingly out of reach for millions. While wages have remained largely stagnant over the past decade, the price of essentials, especially housing, has skyrocketed. Groceries, utilities, and transportation costs have all climbed, but nothing compares to the relentless surge in home prices and rents. In major cities like Toronto and Vancouver, the average home now costs more than 10 times the median household income. Even those with good jobs find themselves locked out of the market, unable to save enough for a down payment as prices continue to rise faster than they can keep up. For countless working Canadians, homeownership has shifted from a realistic goal to a distant fantasy. Many are forced to settle for cramped rentals, or to move further and further from their jobs and communities in search of something affordable. This growing divide has created a two-tier society, those who own property and those who may never escape the cycle of renting. The gap between these groups is widening, fueling resentment and uncertainty about the future. The human cost is immense. Anxiety and stress are now daily realities for many, as families delay having children, put off major life milestones, or abandon dreams altogether. The sense of hopelessness is palpable, affecting mental health and family stability. Young people, in particular, are feeling the squeeze. Many are forced to postpone starting families or living independently, often remaining in their childhood bedrooms well into their 30s. The path to adulthood is being redrawn by economic necessity, and this crisis is no longer confined to the big cities. As urban prices soar, demand spills over into smaller towns and rural areas, driving up costs and putting pressure on communities that once offered affordable alternatives. Local services are feeling the strain. Food banks, daycares, and healthcare facilities are overwhelmed as more Canadians struggle to make ends meet. What was once a local issue has become a national emergency. The disconnect between income and living costs is undermining ambition, innovation, and the very sense of possibility that once defined Canadian society. People are forced to make tough choices, sacrificing dreams and opportunities. This is no longer just a housing issue, it's a threat to Canada's future prosperity, its social fabric, and its promise of opportunity for all. The economic model that once delivered stability and growth is now failing to provide for most citizens, leaving many to wonder if the system can be fixed. For millions, the dream of a decent, secure life is slipping away, replaced by uncertainty, frustration, and a growing sense that something fundamental has been lost. Canada's population is booming, driven by ambitious immigration targets. On paper, this looks like economic growth. But the reality is more troubling. GDP per capita, the true measure of individual prosperity, has stagnated or declined. We're adding people, but not wealth per person. Businesses rely on cheap labor instead of investing in productivity or raising wages. This keeps wages low and living standards flat. Rapid population growth strains housing, transit, and healthcare. Competition for resources intensifies and quality of life suffers. The promise of a better life is undermined by a system unprepared for this growth. Without a plan to turn growth into real prosperity, we risk deepening social and economic strain. Canada needs a strategy that benefits everyone, not just headline numbers. Canada's housing crisis is driven by a severe shortage of new homes. Demand from immigration and changing demographics far outpaces supply. Slow approvals, restrictive zoning, and labor shortages stall construction. Outdated building methods and lack of skilled trades worsen the bottleneck. Housing has become a speculative asset, not a basic need. Investors profit while families are priced out. Until we remove barriers and build more homes, affordability will only worsen. The market's dysfunction threatens economic stability for millions. Canadians have taken on record levels of debt, mostly tied to real estate. Massive mortgages leave families vulnerable to interest rate hikes and economic shocks. High debt means less money for other spending, slowing the economy. Entrepreneurship suffers as people can't afford to take risks. Renters face soaring costs, trapping them in a cycle with little hope of homeownership. The divide between owners and renters grows, fueling frustration and resentment. High debt also threatens the financial system. Defaults could trigger a crisis. The economy is dangerously reliant on rising home prices and debt. This is not sustainable for long-term prosperity. We need a shift toward productive, broad-based growth. The Canadian dream was built on stable, middle-class jobs, now disappearing. Globalization, automation, and a shift to services have hollowed out traditional industries. High-skilled jobs grow but require expensive education. Low-wage, insecure jobs proliferate. The middle ground, accessible, well-paying jobs has shrunk. Young Canadians face cycles of temp work and debt, with no clear path to stability. The promise that hard work alone leads to success is fading. A shrinking middle class threatens social stability and trust in institutions. Resentment and polarization rise as more feel left behind. Rebuilding the dream means creating new, accessible middle-class jobs for the future. Canadians pay some of the world's highest prices for essentials like cell service, banking, and groceries. A handful of corporations dominate these sectors, stifling competition and innovation. The Canada tax squeezes family budgets and limits choices. Food price inflation is worsened by grocery giants passing costs to consumers. Government policies have protected these oligopolies instead of consumers. Breaking up market power and modernizing competition laws would lower prices and improve service. More competition means better deals and more innovation for Canadians. Tackling these giants is key to making life affordable and reviving the Canadian dream. The Canadian dream can be revived, but only with bold, coordinated action. Across the country, people are feeling the pressure of rising costs, limited opportunities, and a sense that the promise of a better life is slipping away. But it doesn't have to be this way. Together, we can chart a new course, one that puts people first and builds a foundation for lasting prosperity. We must relentlessly increase housing supply by reforming outdated zoning laws, fast-tracking approvals for new developments, and encouraging innovative building solutions. This means making it easier to build the homes Canadians need, in the communities where they want to live. At the same time, we need to invest in affordable options, ensuring that every family, no matter their income, can find a safe and welcoming place to call home. Affordable housing is the cornerstone of strong, inclusive communities. Creating better jobs means investing in high-growth sectors like clean technology, advanced manufacturing, and digital innovation. By supporting these industries, we can create opportunities for the next generation and keep Canada competitive on the world stage. We must also retrain workers for the future, providing access to lifelong learning and skills development. This will help Canadians adapt to a rapidly changing economy and ensure no one is left behind. Productivity, not just population growth, is the path to higher wages and prosperity. By embracing innovation and empowering workers, we can boost productivity and raise living standards for everyone. Breaking up oligopolies and modernizing competition laws will lower costs for families, foster innovation, and give consumers more choice. A fair, competitive marketplace benefits everyone. A fairer tax system should shift the burden from labor to unproductive wealth, especially real estate speculation. By making taxes more equitable, we can reward hard work and help close the gap between rich and poor. All levels of government must work together on a unified plan for growth and housing. This requires vision, courage, and a willingness to put the needs of Canadians ahead of partisan interests. It also demands a commitment to long-term goals over short-term politics, so that the changes we make today will benefit generations to come. Rebuilding the Canadian dream is our defining challenge. It's about restoring hope, opportunity, and fairness for every Canadian, no matter where they live or where they come from. With the right choices, Canada can once again be a place where hard work leads to a better future for all. A country where everyone has a real chance to thrive, and the dream of a better tomorrow is within reach.